The dollar's pullback, how conclusive is it?
Well, I think in the first 3 weeks of this month, or in the month of February, we saw the markets trying to take out the Trump tariff premium out of the dollar. Now, in the last week, we actually saw the markets attempting to add that back in, because obviously the months of March and April are going to be fairly turbulent in respect to tariff announcements and implementation. But that got all overtaken by the events in Europe, the big fiscal spending from Germany, and the markets taking a very optimistic view about European growth over the next few years. And then, obviously, we saw that translate into a 4.1% appreciation of the euro against the dollar, and that dragged the dollar back. I think the next big story to unfold will be the tariffs. That's not yet priced into markets. As Trump sequentially announces his tariffs on a whole range of countries, his reciprocal tariffs, and tariffs on other products, I think that will be something that will have to be priced in, and I think the dollar will actually rally. It will strengthen on the back of that, and we will probably end up going back to the highs that we have seen earlier this year.
But how much do the tariffs really matter if they're not on the important goods, right, which are consumer-centric? So the thing is, everybody's talking about tariffs are coming, but on what? The breakdown of the products on which tariffs are being imposed is also very critical.
Yes.
Because I feel like the markets are not reacting as ferociously as we perhaps expected them to be, or as volatile. They're not being as volatile as we expected them to be, primarily because the devil lies in the detail, and there is no devil there.
Well, two things. One, I think markets did not react to tariffs as much because there was no implementation. It was a lot of talk from Trump.
And back and forth.
And back and forth. And secondly, remember, we FX traders or strategists are very simple-minded people. We want to see what is the universal tariff that the US is going to implement right across the board, and then work out how much the dollar needs to strengthen to fully offset the inflation impact of that, using the Scott-Besson 0.4 beta on the inflation offsetting beta. Now, what has happened is that Trump has actually gone out and started to talk about a whole range of tariffs here, there, everywhere else. And so it's become very complex to try and work that exercise. So markets have pulled back their Trump tariff premium. But now they're starting to add that back in. And as we get more details, and remember, tariffs ultimately, even though they may not be on the goods that we expect, consumer goods, they still have the potential to disrupt supply chains globally.
Yeah, true.
And I think that that's going to feed into a safe haven bid into the US dollar.
Sure.
And Jaideep, if we are talking about a stronger dollar coming up because of the Trump tariff policy, what does this mean for JPY at the moment, given some of the domestic factors at play here, BOJ tightening? We heard from Uchida yesterday. We also heard from Donald Trump talking about the fact that Japan and China are trying to suppress their currency, and that's hurting the US.
Yeah. So this is the one currency that I think can still outperform against the US dollar and globally. Simply because of the things you've mentioned, the Bank of Japan's further tightening, spread compression with the US, and ultimately Trump wants to see that too. He did mention that further tariffs on Japan are contingent on to what extent Japan is able to revalue its currency. So I think that there's a move there, and I think that we should, it's been a kind of a slow-moving event. Because frankly, last year all the speculative positions were taken out of the yen carry trade. Now it's a much more gradual phase, and we'll continue to see that going forward this year.